get started.
You want me to go first? All right, well, my name is Jana Harvey. I'm the Associate Director of Bands here at Flower Mound High School. This is my 12th year at Flower Mound and my 27th year of teaching. Go ahead, call me old.
I would never say such a thing.
The parents are watching. They'll get mad at you.
Yeah, I'm Brent Biskup, as most of you know, and I don't know how many years. I can't ever remember how. It's been a long time since I've been at Flower Mound. And yeah, anyway, okay, let's get into this. So here's what we're trying to do, and here's what's happening. We had parent preview last night, right?
Yesterday,
and parent preview for us is our first kind of performance that's not in a football game setting. It's like a contest. We talk through the show to the parents. We explain kind of what's going on. We actually get in the costumes. We do all of these different things, and it's kind of a celebration for our community before we go out into contest season. And it's become a thing. It's cool.
Yeah, it was
Lots
great.
of alumni.
A ton of alumni and alumni parents coming back. It was great to see everybody.
Tons of people show up, and it's an event that I just always think it's cool. Like the administration showed up. Some of them we don't, publicize it to them. They just come up, and lots of different people, lots of different things, and so it's a great event. And now with kind of us starting this YouTube channel for parents and community and family and friends and whatever, to kind of see on the inside of what happens. We get all these comments or these, I don't think comments, questions all the time about what happens with this? How does this work? How does that work? And we thought, okay, in today's time, we can just start to film these videos and talk about what goes on so that parents can see, here's how this whole thing takes place, and here's my kids doing all these different things and whatever. And it's something that kind of gets more information out into the community, and we like that aspect of what's going on. So that's basically what's happening. So this video, the intent is to talk kind of about the show and the in-depth process of what happens. But before that, I think what we want to talk about is the Jaguar band.
Yeah, they were fantastic last night.
I'm so excited about that.
The Jaguar band is our JV marching band, and so we are fortunate to be able to have the numbers that we do here at Flower Mound, and so we run a JV marching band. Our JV marching band, they have their own show, they have their own drill, they have their own music. We use here, the way that we do it is we use some of our drill team music, the stuff that we're going to play for our dance team at halftime. So we use some of that music, and we have our drill writer, he writes custom drill for them. We send numbers, the whole thing. And it's a way to start to get those kids across and teach them the process, the systems and the processes and what marching band's all about, and start to teach them techniques and all of the things without it maybe being so overwhelming, just as we're going through things. So they had their first big performance last night in front of everybody, and it was great. It's really good.
Yeah, it's also a way, and this is really important to us. When I was 14, 15 years old, if somebody would have said in high school, all you can do is band, you have to choose, I would have quit. I would have quit band. And I was just doing other things. I mean, my freshman year of high school, I did baseball, I did basketball, I ran cross country. I was in all of those things at that point in my life. Honestly, I thought were more important. And my parents were band directors. I mean, so we've started this thing, and I'm so proud of it because it gives us a way to make sure that kids that have busy schedules, have other things going on, they practice half the time. They put this thing together, and they get still what I think is a good
it's a really quality experience. Yeah. And they get to, the big thing to us is, it's music education. So, it's so important. We think it's an incredible activity. We think it's incredible kids, and, we want everybody to be a part of it. And so if we can, fortunate and we can offer this opportunity, then to get kids across and give them a chance to experience what high school band's all about, we think that's great. It's a win for everybody.
Yeah. So I loved it. I just loved it. And we've started a thing now, the section leaders for the competition band go and tech and help with the Jaguar band and just some things. Tristan Willard is in charge of the Jaguar band. He did a great job with them and anyway.
They played Journeys Any Way You Want It.
Yeah, they made a guitar.
They did make a guitar. And you could completely tell it was a guitar.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love it. So anyway, congrats. That was kind of the Jaguar band side, and we're just really excited about what they're doing. Pretty cool. So. So now if we go on to the competition band side, I guess we'll preface this by saying this. We wanted to talk a little bit about what's happening in the show and why it's happening and all those things are there. Now, I'll be the first one to say, as we talk through this process, a lot of people go, nobody gets that when they watch the show. And that's probably accurate. I don't know that people get any of this. But when I go to the symphony, I can hear a piece of music. I may not know what it's about.
Sure.
I can still appreciate the piece of music.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we're trained. I mean, we have degrees in this, and you play music in concert season, and that music generally comes with what we call, music notes, score notes at the beginning, usually from the composer that will tell us, their interpretation. What was the inspiration behind the piece? And most of the time, I would say, until you read that, you don't get that.
Right.
So from the piece,
it doesn't mean there's not value in it.
Correct. You can still appreciate that for the beauty that it is.
But for people, our parents who are, the audience of this video right now, we like to explain what's going on and why, what is happening and all those things. And there are people, who will watch 10 seconds of this video and have turned it off. And there are people that'll go the whole way because
most people
are sorry. I'm sorry. I get it.
If you're still watching, thank you.
But who want to know what is happening, in this whole thing. So the title of this year's competition production is about a piece of artwork that is deconstructed. And so we start with a piece of art that's on the back sidelines, a piece of art that was created for us for this show, and it's there in its entirety to start the show. So, and then throughout the show, it quote unquote deconstructs. It's also, we're saying, an exploration through the creative process, because it's not just about the piece of art deconstructing. It's literally going backwards through the journey of an artist. So the opening production, part one, is a piece of music called Keystone by Thierry, Thierry. French,
right?
Yeah, what is it?
I don't know.
Oh, I was going to say, you're not French?
No, I'm not. No one thinks I'm French. No.
But Thierry Delarue, it's this beautiful piece of music called Keystone, and when we listen to the concert band side of it, it was written for wind band, and it's got these colors that are just beautiful and this harmonic quality that is so rich, which, if I'm being honest, is lacking in the outdoor activity. I feel like harmony is gone. And so we were attracted to this piece. We're like, this is beautiful. And so that's the opening production. And we should say this too. We should make sure people know, as we talk through this thing, we have a whole creative team of people who do an incredible job. Alan Spaeth is the production designer, and all of the visual ideas and so much of the show layout comes out of his brain. And then
which is it has to be a crazy place to be.
It's a crazy place.
Right.
Alan, that's crazy.
Right. Crazy town.
Yeah, and brilliant.
And brilliant.
And then Wayne Downey writes the music, and that's one of my things with Wayne. The harmonic depth that Wayne uses when he writes, I just appreciate it. I always have.
Right.
And so I think it's showcased in this opening production.
And we added to the team this year Colin McNutt.
Colin McNutt writes some, and Ian Moyer.
Ian Moyer.
percussion writing.
Colton Hines has been doing our electronics for years.
And Mitch Rogers writes the drill.
Yes. Brilliant people that we couldn't do any of this without.
Yeah, so when we talk through, it's just important for us to acknowledge and say that when we're talking through this, those people had so much to do with creating these ideas and things. But it just made me think of Wayne harmonically with this opening production. You hear all these different colors and other things. So the opening production of the show is about the presentation of the finished artwork. So it's weird because the show is starting, but in reality, the art part is the end. And then it's going to go the opposite way.
We're going the opposite way. And it's cool that part one, I mean, you start with, I mean, the band is presented as a full ensemble, just like, a piece of artwork. The artwork is being presented as a completed, painting art, as we go through. The different elements is a little bit of foreshadowing. I mean, we will see, some features throughout, some different elements. It's like not unlike when you look at the artwork in the back, you're going to be like, it's abstract, but I think I see, the impression of a person, back there, and that's the same sort of thing within the part one. I mean, there's a lot of like, there's the trumpets. I mean, here's the whole sound, but I hear the trumpets through here and the mellophones and the front ensemble, and things are being presented, so that you understand what the whole is going through there.
And then as we move in to the second production is really interesting to me because the artwork breaks up, the whole deconstructed thing, it breaks into pieces. And thematically, what's happening in the second part of the show is the actual painting, the creation. You get worked up and you're throwing paint around and doing all these things. And the idea is that it's crazy. You're overwhelmed in your emotional commitment to making something beautiful, the act of painting and the act of doing all this. And so to make that happen, the music is weird.
It is. It's voice for bassoon and percussion by Stephen Melillo. And of course, when we go into things, I mean, you're like, well, I mean, any piece called voice for bassoon and percussion, I mean, just the title in itself, as musicians, we know like this is probably going to be a little bit strange, but we have these incredible bassoon players here. And so, of course, the percussion, we wanted to feature our percussion section. And so we started to look on things and we're like, well, this would fit us really well. The bassoon players are doing crazy musical techniques. They're double tonguing, which is not something that woodwind players, with the exception of flutes, I guess, typically do. So it's a new skill that they've learned and have enjoyed working on, but it's weird. The whole movement. It's strange. It's chaotic. It's emotional, as you're going through. I was thinking yesterday or last night, really, after we did this. This is where we are. We're in part two right now.
Yeah.
From a design, we're in chaos. We are overwhelmed emotionally, trying to put this out. Getting ready. And so I feel like I'm living part two right now. Some days there's a little bit of order to what we do, and some days there's complete and total chaos, and we blow things up and we're trying to make it right. So I feel like we're living part two right now.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. And exciting and cool and scary all at the same time.
Yes.
You get that pit in your stomach of like, is this going to work? How are we going to, I don't know. But I love that, Well, we'll go back. We were just talking about this. We did a podcast with Riaz and Kim, two good
Shout
friends
out.
of ours. The Intermission podcast, which those guys are awesome. And so
Close
anyway,
friends of ours are the band directors at Capel.
something stood out in my mind. Riaz sent some questions, and then he said to us, he said, you guys, there's all this band director burnout and people leaving the profession. And he goes, what fuels you guys? Like, what keeps you going? And I think for a lot of us, marching band is the thing that drives people out.
I think that's true. That's where people start talking about the time
and crawling on buses and doing this and doing all that and but
the heat.
Oh man,
110
for us has been insane. But the part of marching band that I enjoy, the older I get, is the creative side of it. It's you sit in this room. We talk to our theater teachers about this all the time. It's like if you said to the theater department, you guys, you're going to put on a musical this year, but you're writing it.
Right.
And I think that's what happens in our world of marching band. It's like, okay, let's start and let's figure this out. And what are we doing? And we're writing the script and we're creating something. And you're trying to do something interesting and artistic. And that is what I find satisfying. That's what keeps me going.
Oh, I completely agree. Just being able to, and as people talk about, the marching band activity for those parents that were in marching band when they were in high school, I mean, the marching bands you and I were in and the parents were in are very different than the kids experience these days.
Totally different. Yeah.
And so being able, just the activity changes. And honestly, that's frustrating, I think, for, some teachers would probably tell you, some band directors would tell you that's frustrating. It's exhausting to stay on the front edge.
Yes.
I think for both of us, it's still exciting. I think that keeps us going. It's trying to stay on the front edge of creativity and seeing where the activity is going. I just think that's it is exciting. It still is.
Yeah, I just love the creative part of that.
I think so too.
And I thought Parent Preview was cool because you go through this thing and you're like, is it going to work? And then you go, what does it mean to work or not work? I don't know what any of that is, but you're going through and you're trying to, but then to see like the community there and the kids get excited and the parents get excited and people start to, understand what's happening and you can see some things and
yeah, it's very satisfying. I will say we're doing things and you're like, I think it's cool. Other people think it's cool.
Right.
And then to do a performance like last night and people randomly clap, something moves them, to an emotional response and you're like, oh, they like that. Like
right.
that working.
The next thing that really in the second production, we switch over. So we go through this Stephen Malillo, like weird bassoon, and it's all these different 7/8, 5/8, all this different, and we just try, the whole idea is that it gets wrapped up in emotion, because that's what you think of people doing artistically. Art is, there's always emotional context to what's going on in that,
sure.
in some level or another. And so wrapped up and it gets crazy, whatever. And then we switch over right at the end of the tune to John Mackey's Liminal. And it's loud and it's chaotic, and
complete chaos.
Yeah, and we literally tell the color guard to drop all their stuff. And
there's things being thrown in the air. Yeah.
And so the idea is that you're caught up with emotion, and there's chaos with what is going on, and then everything stops.
Yes.
And then the next part of the show is a piece that we found a couple years ago. We wanted to do for a while. We didn't have the right place to fit it in, and this year was like, well, this is perfect here. It's an arrangement of Let It Be by the Beatles. And in the artistic process now, going backwards, now we're to the next production of the show, but that means now we're before you would create
right.
the
We're
art.
back to the artist.
Back to the artist.
The blank canvas, if you will.
And finding that courage to start something.
Right.
You know what I mean? What happens when you're trying to do something? Well, you're not wrapped up in it yet. You're thinking about it, whatever. And then what I like about the piece is the calmness. It's just beautiful.
Well, yeah, I think most people will know the tune, of course. I mean, it's a popular tune, but just even the title, just Let It Be, I think also speaks to that.
Right.
Like you've had an idea. It's the calm before the storm, if you will, of the artistic process. You're the blank canvas. Nothing has taken place yet. As we're going through, it's about the artist and the journey that they're about to embark on. So we have these huge props, of course, that was the artwork when we started. So during this production, those are going to turn around. We're going to have an effect.
And it's all mirrors.
All mirrors.
And so the idea is the art, quote unquote, goes away because it hasn't been created yet. So the art goes away, and
Which you said at the parent preview that magicians use mirrors. I didn't know this.
It's Alan.
This was brand new information.
Yeah, no, it's Alan. We were talking because Alan and I talk constantly,
right.
And at some point Alan's like, "Well, duh, like that's what when you want something to go away, you use a mirror." And of course, I was like, "Oh yeah, of course you do." In my mind, I'm like, "Yeah, I do that all the time."
I was yesterday years old when I learned that.
Right? Me too.
Everybody in the press box looked at each other, and I was like, "Oh, huh."
That's smart, and that's why that day in rehearsal when you thought I was just being crazy,
you'll have to specify which day.
I had just talked to Alan on the phone, and this was him telling me about how when you want something to go away, the mirror. And so I said to one of the kids, I go, "Will you turn that around and just leave it?" And you were like doing something, and I kept going, he's right. It makes it go away. He's right. And you just kept being like, "What is your problem?" That's what it was.
Yeah. I was just trying to get us to learn some drill. I was like, that's great. We got to keep going. So again, I'm in the part 2, the chaos part of things.
So and then the other thing is it's the reflection. And so the kids go back there. When they turn around, the kids go back there and they make this pose, and then the mirrors will all turn and reflect the kids, which in this case is the artist. And I think it's just cool to be, that idea of just let it be, calm down, do something beautiful, and reflect and think about the person that creates the art. That's pretty awesome, And,
yeah, I think so too.
And once again, is anybody going to get that? No.
But they're going to love the tune.
They're going to love the tune, and I don't care, and I don't say that offensively. It's okay if people don't get it.
Sure.
I still like that the intent is there. That was the idea when we're going through, let's reflect the people creating the art, and then, the art goes away because we're going backwards through this process.
I think this is the movement that's appealing on just a musical level to our parents. We have parents that show up at the end of rehearsal just so they can hear Let It Be.
Yeah.
They were so excited.
Yeah.
I think that makes us all old. But
I was going to say that's going to... Sorry, parents, you're not old.
Yeah. But it's been good.
Yeah.
So, and then... It's been good.
Yeah.
So, and then we move on to part 4, which we have kind of started learning.
Yeah.
I mean, we have some dots on the field. Dots is what we call our drill. I don't think nobody will see it for a few weeks still, right. I think we're still in the learning stages of it. But I think part 4 is just, I think when you're excited about, it's the beginning. You're just excited to create something.
Yeah, it really is like the blank canvas. Yeah. It ends up where, from a visual standpoint, the band ends up kind of compressed, and then the guard just takes the entire field with the idea that the whole field is the canvas. Yeah. You know what I mean? That we're trying to do. And the music is James Barnes. It's traditional.
Symphonic Requiem.
Traditional, beautiful, just
band music.
Great band music, and it just seems to work, as we were listening to tunes.
It's just the excitement of possibilities. I think it just, foreshadows, it's like as the season starts, it's almost like, if you just look at marching band, like our own journey, like I said, I think we're in part 2 right now. It's May,
right.
We're like, the kids are like so you're going to tell us about the show? Like,
right.
no, we're not telling you about the show. It's after, concert season's over. But the parent, the excitement of a marching band season to come and all of that. And so that's what I think of. It's just some excitement about what's to come, what's about to be created.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm excited about this part too, or as well, I should say, this part as well, that it just opens up and so that's the whole thing. Now we're back at the beginning. We're at the end of the show, but at the beginning of the art project, if you will. And I don't know, still, are people going to get all that? Probably not. People are just going to watch and go, it's just a band show, and that's okay too. But we wanted to take a minute to just at least explain to our community kind of what's happening, because there's interest in that, and we think the parents and the kids, that sometimes I feel bad, you're like, have we explained all this to the kids? I don't know that.
They thought it was deconstruction for a while.
Right.
Yeah,
it might be. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing.
That's the show.
All right. Well, if you made it this far, thank you for watching the video. And like we said at the beginning, we're trying to do some of this to be more informative to our community and kind of give them an inside look into what goes on. So hopefully you appreciate. And that's it.
Thank you.